Tumeona saizi kuna President William Ruto ameamua ameenda kwa Bretton Woods institution by the name World Bank na akaitisha mkopo mwingine wa shilingi bilioni 5 for Nyota Fund. But at the end of the program, the World Bank is willing to extend about 13 billion Kenyan shillings. Unapata fanya mambo.
Me, I think our president needs help. We just look for a good facility where we can check what is going on. How can you allocate yourself 12 billion for State House? Alafu unaenda kukopa 5 billion. Hata nyinyi World Bank, shame on you. Kwa nini mnatupea 5 billion? We don't want it. I mean, you're giving somebody 5 billion who is allocating 12 billion to State House, to himself. The amount of money that Kenya spends on travel ya hizi madignitaries na president na nini is about 27 billion.
On an annual basis.
On an annual basis. Ya alafu mnaenda kukopa 5 billion ya kupea youth. I think shame on that whole idea. In fact, hivi hata nyinyi World Bank uangeni tu na aibu sometimes, mnaambia president tu kweli to his face, mnamwambia kwa ile pesa ulijiallocate ya State House is more than 2.5 times what you are begging from us ya kwenda kupatia vijana. So stop it. So from me where I sit here on you pussy, it's nonsense.
Edwin,
my biggest issue actually with the Nyota Fund, the idea behind it could be good, that they want to empower youth, give youth 50k to start a business. My worry is that it will be another fund that is going to go down the drain. Because as of now, if you try to audit Hustler Fund, you hear 6 billion has been lost. People have borrowed money, they have not paid. Youth Fund, it started so well, and people borrowed a lot of money, but once you borrow, najua ni kama tu president anaambia watu asante for making him president, because for as long as we don't have a clear policy on these funds, we are going to fail over and over and over again, because sahi Hustler Fund iko na issues mingi sana. Youth Fund died a natural death. Women Fund, I don't know if it still exists, it died natural death. So some of these funds, the idea behind it could be good, but I fear that we are in this economy of fuliza. You know, everybody's trying to fuliza. Unafuliza, unanunua chakula, unafuliza. So the president is feeling like he should also help in trying to make the youth have money. But how then is the president or the government going to make sure that the youth, because the fund is supposed to be, you know, nikikopa nalipa alafu pia unakopa, nikikopa wewe ukikopa unalipa,
revolving fund,
na revolving fund ndio mrutu pia akope. But what happens is that mimi nakopa na silipi, fanya maba kikopa alipi. So you find that you keep on pumping in money that you don't know where, if that money will ever be returned, and that's the biggest problem with this fund.
There's how you can dress a project to disguise it as a good initiative, but consequently the end game is not necessarily that you want to empower these youth.
The end game,
we know the people who have been clamoring for change, people who have been agitating for change in this country, the people who have pushed this government to the wall have been the youth. With the election fast approaching, you would expect that anyone who is keen on retaining power or having a second chance at office would do anything to appease, to please these youth. And therefore, hii Nyota wanaangaza saa hii, mimi I'm looking at it as an effort to appease the young generation, the young people who have been agitating for change by this government. One, we have already begun hearing those in opposition today telling them, just like Hustler Fund, fanyeni tu vile mlifanya Hustler Fund, mtu asiwastue, chukua hii pesa na usitishike. So there's a likelihood that even those 100,000 youths will take these 50,000 shillings na mtu ataenda kujenga keja yake ile yenye amedream kujenga mabati 5 na hakuwa na namna na hataweka kwa hiyo biashara yenye. They may have whatever criteria they are using to arrive at this person that will be given 50,000 shillings. Anaweza kuwa na proposal nzuri nini apita hiyo mtihani na mpe hiyo 50,000 shillings. But I doubt kuna mechanism ya hata kufuatilia kujua this youth is using these 50,000 shillings for what they said they are going to use, and therefore at the end of the day it ends up not achieving whatever good that would have come out of it, even with the intention having been that we are trying to please these youth for the election. So I don't think it was the best idea. In any case, 100,000 youths is a drop in the ocean. Okay, someone would argue that if there are 500,000 youths and you're dealing with 100,000, then you are reducing the number, so you're working towards solving the bigger problem. But I mean, you see, if you were certain that we are solving the problem, then that would be a different case. But in this one, that is why questions are rising.
Yeah.
Critics are arguing that this may be adding to Kenya's ballooning debt.
Yeah.
Na pia offering mega and sustainable grants.
Yeah.
Na kupea tu watu nafasi ya kukula.
Is it something that was designed to fail? And are these funds just meant to fail in the disguise of trying to help the youth? Are there sustainable policies and systems that can ensure that these funds actually do attain the goals that they are set out for?
You see, it's hard to exist in the brain of a Kenya Kwanza person. To start with, you make it very hard for our people to access institutions of higher learning. Mm-hmm. You come up with a stupid university funding model that ensures that our people will not go to university.
Yeah.
And then that's a crisis you've manufactured by yourself. Then you start borrowing left, right, and center 5 billion shillings to come and give them because you think that every other young person in machine ya car wash.
Yeah.
And that's what you think is going to empower them. Na baiskeli, I mean a boda. Na tinga ya kisiagi. That's what happens when you replace technocrats with the likes of some names, engineers I don't want to mention here, and they start making very serious policy decisions for this country. But also think about it this way. I still want to go back to the State House budget.
Yeah.
If you flip it the other way around, if you take 5 billion and divide by 50,000 youths, you get 100,000 shillings. I mean, by 50,000 shillings per youth, you get 100,000 youth. If you take the 12 billion for State House and divide it by 50,000 shillings, you get about, if you get 12 and divide by 50,000, you get 240,000.
Yeah.
So what Ruto is telling us technically is that the money he allocated himself for State House would have empowered 240,000 young people, each getting 50k. Natakanga muone hii uchungu ya ile pesa inapotea State House because it's a loss-making institution.
It's a lot.
It would have empowered 240,000 young people. Now, this nonsense of saying they're helping 100,000 people, every year, last year alone, the number of young people who did KCSE are 962,000. The number of people who had joined high school at around 2020, when this thing now, because those are the ones who finished in 2024, thereabout, was more than 1.2 million. So more than 300,000 dropped along the way, and nobody is having a conversation about them. So every year we are churning out close to 1.5 million people out of our institutions of learning. We are only able to account for these 100,000 that we want to give money. These other 1.4 million, wanaenda wapi? So we need a more holistic approach to youth development in this country. And we need to start asking, who are the technocrats? How can we sit? How can we come up with a master plan that is all-encompassing? Because nobody has addressed the issue of the graduate. Kila mtu ni mashini ya car wash, piki, nonsense.
But hawa tunapeleka shuleni.
These ones that we are taking to school, where do they go? And what do they become? What plan do we have for our graduates? Because it's important. Now you've already had Ledama Olekina yesterday speaking somewhere in a function and saying, watoe qualifications za Kenya Police. So that Kenya Police mtu aingie akiwa illiterate. So that ukifika pale kwa OB, sijui kama, because amesema nataka wa Masai waingie kwa police station, utakuwa unaandika OB na Kimasai ama what will be happening. Then you have to do a statement and the policeman is illiterate. you have to write a charge sheet because huwezi shika mtoto wenyewe na ukose kumpeleka kotini.
Yes.
Na ukimpeleka kotini lazima kuwe na charge sheet. If someone comes and says somebody sent me a threatening messages, na yule polisi umekuta pale ni huyo Waledama Olekina mwenye hakusoma, ambue hii ndio threatening message, what would they do? The other day a young person hacked a website ya a betting company and went away with millions of shillings. Unakuja unaambua kuna website imehakiwa na wewe ni policeman na hujasoma hata ujui meaning ya hacking ni nini. I think these are some of the retrogressive leaders that we don't need in this country. And when they speak of young people and how to empower young people, I ask myself, ilikuwa haja gani sisi tusomeshe watoto wetu waende wakaongozwe na wale wakusoma? You are working so hard to educate your children, all of you in this room, and then you are creating opportunities for those ones who've not been to school. Mpaka ikifika time ya kuchaguana, unachagua kile akijasoma, unaacha wale wamesoma. I mean, let us be focused and say there is a reason as to why we are taking our children to school.
This administration, when he took over power, it was on the basis of uplifting the hustlers. You could hear the border guys, you could hear mentioning of the mama bogas and stuff like that. But right now, the headlines are indicating that tumeenda kwa Gideon Moi. That's the dynasty of the Moi family. Tumekuwa na Unye, the Kenyatta family. Tumeleta Rao, the Odinga family kwa serikali. Mrutu.
That first term, they needed to begin off by getting into office kwanza. And the best people that would get them there at the time were the hustlers. Right now, it is not about, right now it is about retaining power, going for a second term, which is not more about, now you are in, now it is more about resources. If it is about resources, you have seen how they have proven that they can go all out, spend on Kenyans in the name of empowerment, but in the real sense they are bribing Kenyans. And they seem to be getting the notion that Kenyans will always go where money is. And therefore, the answer is resources. So who have the resources?
The dynasties.
The dynasties have the resources. President William Ruto himself has created a dynasty in himself already by making who he is right now.
Yeah.
And then now he goes out to Raila, who is another dynasty.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the Mois, people who can quickly bury the hatchet for the sake of their sustainability into the fold.
Yeah.
We heard him mentioning that he has spoken to the retired president Uhuru Kenyatta. How true that is, we do not know, but it is out there. He says they have spoken. That is another dynasty.
Yeah.
What does that say to a Kenyan? The good thing about the Kenya of today is we have these people who watch, and they every other day they pick a reason to wake up tomorrow and work against this government. Mm-hmm. And that is what this government is doing, shooting itself in the foot. That there are youths who are getting even more angry. That despite the fact that we pushed for you guys to make changes in this regime, you have kept making the same mistake over and over. And right now, you are rubbing it into our face that even with your noise, we can still collect, we can still regroup as dynasties, use our money and retain power na hamtafanya chochote.
I won't be surprised if Kalonzo joins Ruto, for example. It won't be surprising. I wasn't surprised when Raila, after being on the streets for 1.5 years, joined President Ruto, and now they are working together.
Yeah.
And I want to borrow the analogy of my senator Kokio Mutata. Alisema these politicians are like wardens kwa prison, such that wanaweza pigana amongst them. But if prisoners want to break out of that prison,
wanna unite.
They will come together to keep you in that prison. And Kenyans are in that prison. And so they are going to unite and do everything to make sure that you remain in that prison, because that's where they want to keep you. And they don't want you to, and in 2027, sasa wanasema wataki ukabila, wataki nini, but mobilization, the whole mobilization will be tribe-based. Raila, later Luo Nyanza uleta Western kidogo. Joho leta Coast na Kingi. Na yani Kalonzo leta Ukambani. Matiang'i leta Kisii. That is, unfortunately, that's how our politics have been, been done over and over and over. And it might be changing, but it's going to take a long time for it to change. Even in 2027, I am sure mobilization of our politics is going to happen on tribal basis. For alafu najua siasa, there's a situation as it ought to be and the situation as it is. The fact is that President Ruto feared that if Gideon Moi was to vie for Baringo Senator and he lost to him, he's going to embolden the position, he's going to make even people start doubting that he still have control over Rift Valley, and that's not what he wants. He wants to make sure, politics is all about optics, and so he wants to make sure that watu wanajua he's still in control. And I won't be surprised as a journalist if Fanyamambo tomorrow shakes President Ruto's hand, because that's how politicians that's how our politics have been have been done over and over and over. Because explain to me why Raila Odinga is working with President William Ruto. Explain to me why Gideon Moi has joined President William Ruto. Because they are wardens and they want to keep us in that prison.
We have leaders and we have politicians. I am going into this as a leader. We have had politicians for too long. We can't draw the line between politicians and leaders. To be honest, mahali nimefika sahi. If I wanted Kenya Kwanza money, I would have a lot of it. There's been a lot of it being offered left, right, and center. I don't want it. I don't want to look to look at it. I don't even want to smell like that terrible blood money. Staki wacha nikae kama huyu maskini ndio itaniwa, wacha nikufe maskini. Staki pesa ya Kenya Kwanza. So I'm not going to shake their hands. In fact, if I would do, I'll wash my hands with the jik. Now, Gideon Moi has won and William Ruto has lost. The fact that the people of Baringo were able to start singing Ruto must go in Baringo and doing demonstrations and saying something we've never heard of. Can you imagine them saying, wataenda kustaki Gideon Moi kwa kaburi ya baba yake? That's what they said. They'll walk to the Moi's grave and they will tell Moi that that his son has betrayed them. And he has betrayed everything that Moi ever believed in. Remember, Moi refused to see Ruto. He made sure that Ruto does not go to see him in Kabarnet. So the thing is, the thing is, whether Ruto sponsors a UDA candidate or not, the hearts of the people of Baringo have said no to William Ruto. In fact, William Ruto is not wise. And I keep telling you, I wish he was, because if I was William Ruto, he would have sat with Gideon at State House and said, today we've had a conversation with Gideon Moi, and in the spirit of unity and bringing our people together, we have decided to withdraw the UDA candidate in favor of the KANU candidate. You know what would have happened? The whole of Baringo would have been chatting and saying Ruto is a statesman, amepatiana kiti hiyo, amepatia Gideon Moi. Now it would have looked like it's Ruto who's given the ticket to Gideon Moi, and he's made Gideon Moi win. And the Tugen would feel part of the Kalenjin community. Right now, he has insisted on having his UDA candidate there. What has that done? It has created disaffection. I have seen a young man who is vying. A very young Gen Z, I think they are calling him Samuel something. And young people have started saying, tunaweza fanya ile kitu ilifanywa na huku kwa Kaluma boy. We are saying as young people, we want to see his seriousness. If he's serious, and he's vying on an independent ticket, sisi wote kama the millennials and the Gen Zs tutapanda matatu tuelekee huko Baringo, kila mtu aprint poster zake 5, 10, kila mtu atengeneze reflector. We go and paint Marigat the colors of an independent candidate, and we campaign for that boy for like a day, and we also tell watu wa boda watupelekee hizo vitu huko ndani. We are willing to support the young man. He just needs to show us his seriousness. So the young people, because me, I listen to them and I talk to them all the time. And mimi naishi ground na ambianga. And they told me ukienda huko Hot 96 sema, kuna kijana moja amejitokeza Gen Z, anataka kusimama huko. Anataka kuna kama ako serious. Kama ako serious, tutafanya, we shall pull off another Kaluma boy. Sisi wote tuingie kwa magari, tuende Marigat. Marigat si mbali by the way. Tukifika huko asubuhi saa 4, tuanze kuzunguka soko tukimwombea kura kila mahali. Poster tujaze huko. By the way, he doesn't even need posters. I'm telling you, if 10,000 of us tukiamua kila mtu atamtengenezea poster 5 ama 10, we shall paint Marigat in the colors of an independent candidate. So what we are trying to say is that all is not lost, because the people of Baringo are still saying they don't want the UDA ticket, they don't want the UDA candidate. So Gideon Moi, you went after your interest, you betrayed your people, that's fine, because your interests are more important than your people. But hata kama wanataka kukuweka kwa cabinet, juu nimesikia wanasema nakuweka kwa cabinet, it's okay. There's one wonderful thing that William Ruto is doing for Kenyans na hamuoni. William Ruto has decided to collect everything that we don't need and put for us in one basket, so that by the time tunapiga hiyo basket teke inaenda na all the terrible things that we don't want in this country. So William Ruto, may God give you grace and long life ya kuendelea kutuokotea everything that this Kenya does not need. Please put them all in one basket. Make sure they are in your cabinet. Make sure in fact that you people form a coalition. Unaona kabla tulikuwa na Azimio. Make sure you, because UDA is unpopular, it won't be voted for. We want you to form a coalition. Alafu mujidanganye itashinda. The good thing is William Ruto won the presidency against what he was calling deep state, state machinery, and state resources. So he has proven to us that it can be done. We don't need an experiment from any other place. William Ruto is living proof that you can win against a head of state, and you can win against deep state and state machinery. Now we want to use that lesson. Hizi vitu zote mbaya ametuwekea kwa basket moja, one kick, zote nje. So 2027, we are happy. For the first time, I'm celebrating William Ruto for collecting for us all those things we don't need and putting them in one basket. We get rid of them in one kick.
So he's made your work easy.
Very easy.
Kwa hii by-election come, if the UDA candidate actually emerges victorious, what will that mean?
They have watered down what would have been a positive message for them, because borrowing from what Fanyamamba said, if this was not what President Ruto did, that he went to get Gideon out of the race, I'd rather he left him there, wapambane, and then if it means buying and manipulating for UDA to win, then that would have sent a different message. But this one that every Kenyan has seen what has happened, that money has been poured, that coercion in terms of incentivizing an opponent has happened, I don't think it will mean anything for any Kenyan following the Kenyan politics today, seriously, because they have missed it. Now we throw our eyes to other regions. We are done with the Baringo, because we now wait to see how the Baringo people will revolt, because I want to believe there will be a revolt if what we are seeing is what will happen even on the 27th. We now focus on other areas. Baringo is done. It has no effect whatsoever because it is not fair. If it was left to be fair, then we would tell, depending with who wins, whether it is UDA. If UDA won, then we would say, because it was fair and UDA has won, then it still has a say in the region. But as it stands, they have destabilized the fairness in the region. So we look at other places. We now want to focus on Malavas of this world and Mbere North of this world. Not Baringo anymore.
Okay. Politics for ground ukuwa tofauti. You use any mean to make sure that you get that seat. UDA and President William Ruto made sure that in Kilifi, candidate to a DCP and a withdraw. He made sure of that. He made sure that in Balambala, the candidate of DCP withdraws from the race. He has made
Banisa.
Sure, Banisa, I mean. He has made sure that in Baringo, the candidate of the opponent has withdrawn from the race. So he's trying to make sure that...
So is he going to make us withdraw in 2027?
Yeah, naweza fanya Rigathi aingie pia afanye kazi na president. So where the battle will be, in my view, is Malava and Mbere North. That will be a serious battlefront. Because Malava, I think there are 2 or 3 strong candidates. There is a candidate for DCP, there is a candidate for UD, and then there's a candidate for DAPK, Kenya. So that is going to be a battleground. I have seen already the senator of Kakamega has, defied his party and campaigning now for Panyako, who is a DAPK candidate. And so it's going to be a real battle to see if then DAPK Kenya can withstand the government resources and win that seat. And if Rigathi and Muturi are going to withstand government resources in Bere North and win that seat. If they do, then it's going to be a blow on President Ruto's administration.
Out of the 6 million targeted new voters, we only have 20,000.
I'll tell you why.
Right now, we only have 20,000. How are you going to make it? Kwani nyinyi mkienda ground mfanya mambo, you are not educating the youth enough wajitokeze na wa register kama wapigaji kura. How are you going to succeed in your agenda ya kutoa government kama pia kuandikisha kura mwezi? Kama mwezi andikisha kura, mtatoka kupiga kura.
First is that this stupid voter registration is happening in a very primitive way. It is happening in the ways of, it's not even Chebukati.
Yeah.
In the ways of an
Kivuitu.
Because when you find yourself doing manual registers and doing, you see, we are targeting a generation
that is tech savvy
with Vasco da Gama ideas on how to register them as voters. Because truly these are Vasco da Gama ideas. Tell me why a young person can open a bank account on their phone, but they can't register as a voter on their phone.
And they can get their KCSE results on the phone.
They can get their KCSE results as serious as that.
You can borrow a loan.
Be.
You can ask for money.
Yes.
From a bank on a phone.
Yes, your bank can give you 250,000 right now on your phone. It is a loan. You've applied, they give you, and it comes to your phone. But you have to go to a constituency headquarters to register. Number 2, when you look at the people who are being targeted to vote, kama kwetu Dagoretti South, ni hapa Kawangware wanaita Kawangware pale katikati. Now somebody comes from Odero Rodemeto, they'll need 100 shillings too and 100 shillings back. Young people don't have this fare. Somebody coming from Motoine will spend 200 shillings to just come and register as a voter. IBC, you are not being serious. Mwache upuzi. Some of these constituencies are very big. Have you ever seen the size of Kibwezi?
Kibwezi is huge.
Some of these constituencies are yes, wametengeneza one registration center. One in that constituency. What these people needs to, and mimi sijui nani ana advising ya IBC, sijui mulitoka wapi. At least try to look for the most popular churches on Sunday and have a desk. One, hata mwachane na hii registration yenye mnafanya at nini, just go to the nearest churches, the one that have got, or at least think of the nearest shopping centers to people. The problem we are having is that now it is costing young people a lot of money and time to literally move from where they are to go and register as voters. So our constituencies are not small. Hata ukiangalia tu constituencies zingine waambie mtu utalipa fare ya 150 kwenda 150 kurudi so that you register as a voter. Wanaona hapo kuna
to what end?
So let us decentralize completely the voter registration process. Let us take the votes closer to the people. I urge our people, it's a sacrifice worth making. I mean, we have moved from our homes and walked all the way somewhere. Tulikuwa watu wafanya maandamano, unatoka Roysambu mguu tukakuja CBD hata Sabasaba. Let us make one last sacrifice as young people. In as much as these voting centers are still far, let us still go there and do it. And by the way, the state is happy when Gen Zs don't pick votes. Don't you dare think that it is by accident that it is only being done at the constituency headquarters.
It's a systematic paralysis.
If they had a way, the state would make sure that there's only one office per county. Because they don't want Gen Zs to vote. They know Gen Zs are not with them. They know Gen Zs will not vote for them. So it's very systemic. So I urge young people in the name of God. And then also, we also need to know who is giving us this data. Is it true? Because this IBC, we know, is by EFECON. EFECON is Ruto. So when EFECON tells you that young people are not registering, it's something he's preparing you for. He is telling you young people are not registering because he wants you to believe young people are not registering. So that if they doctor the results in 2027, then they will come and say young people hawakuchukua voters cards at the times when they were being picked. So let us also have our own methods of coming and recording and taking videos and saying, what's up guys? I have registered as a voter. Otherwise, we shall be buying things from EFECON that could not even be ethical.
There is a difference between continuous voter registration and mass voter registration. The mass voter registration is what happens where they go even to the ward level, to the polling station level where they bring those, budgetary issues also. IBC is constrained by budgetary issues. And so this is what we call continuous. According to the law, the voter registration should continue within that 5-year period. There should never be a period where there is no voter registration. So I wouldn't be worried right now that young people are not registering. I will only be worried if during that mass voter registration, because with mass voter registration, the campaigns happen, even on media, churches, they are told every time, please go and vote, please go and take register as a voter. And so there's a difference between the mass voter registration and the continuous voter registration. But I just hope that the excuses we are hearing from the young people, sijui Vasco da Gama, sijui fair, sijui that when time comes, people are going to come out in large numbers and register. Because if they don't, we are still going to be in this quagmire that we are in. And Gunza, we have been here before. We have been told that, young people don't vote. We have been told that na votingi kwa Twitter. They had their president, Peter Kenneth, by that time, young people then thought that Peter Kenneth is the president, the ideal president. They never voted for him. They voted for him on Twitter. So he was trending daily. And so I hope we are going to change that narrative, that notion that young people do not come out and vote. Because first, they need to register as voters. As much as you go to the streets, as much as you demonstrate, as much as you do all those things. If you don't register as a voter, then you'll be missing out. And first they need to register as voters, then they have to come out in large numbers and vote.